Hello friends, I'm Abby, and today I will be going through my recent book haul. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, you may be thinking, Abby, you just did a book haul, like a major book haul. And you would be right. But I accumulated about 20 more books since then. I have been doing this thing this year where I only buy books if I have read them already from the library and really loved them. So half of those are books that apply to that. And then I got some Book of the Month books, and I had a fun weekend shopping with a friend that I will tell you all about when I get to those books. Let's start with the books that I've already read and loved. So the first book I'm going to show you is Cantorus by Carolina de Robertis, and I saw this everywhere on Bookstagram. And when I saw it on there, I at first was really just drawn to the cover. I didn't know anything about the story, but then I found out what the story was about, which is about this group of women who live in Uruguay in the 1970s, and all of these women are what's called cantoras, which are singers, and these mean that they are lesbians. They're women who are interested in other women. And in Uruguay during that time, it was very dangerous to be openly a member of the LGBTQIA+ community. So these women have to kind of find a way to live and survive while being their true selves. And they make a little home on this island, and it becomes their safe haven. And their little found family group meets there, and they bring people. This follows a 30-year span from the 1970s to modern day, and it was just absolutely stunning. The writing is as beautiful as the outside of the book, and I absolutely loved it. I ended up getting the hardback. It has deckled edges. It has this beautiful cover of this water, and the naked cover is just plain, but I absolutely love this color. I also often buy books that have beautiful covers, and I want to start recognizing the people who design those covers on my channel. So the jacket photographs are by Pamela Denise Harris, and the jacket design for this is Jenny Caro. So they did a fantastic job. The next book is All's Well by Mona Awad. And first of all, this is my favorite version of this cover. It really just speaks to me on a deep emotional level. I absolutely love this, and this book I absolutely loved, and I'll talk more about it in my wrap-up, but it was a stunner for me. Absolutely fantastic. This book is all about a theater professor who suffers from chronic pain and is preparing to put on this production of All's Well That Ends Well, and her cast is really adamant about putting on Macbeth instead. And in case you don't know, in the theater community, Macbeth is kind of like a cursed show. It's cursed to talk about, and so it definitely has like a very interesting element to this story. But this story is ultimately a horror novel. I thought it really spoke to me personally, and I'll talk more about why in my wrap-up. But let's just appreciate the cover and the spine of this. It has that nice like a buttery texture, but all of these pills that you see here are raised, so it really is an interesting element to this book. This doesn't have anything on the hardcover either. It's just this nice blue. Absolutely stunning. Fantastic. And another Mona Awad book that I bought was Bunny. And this is another horror novel that absolutely shocked me. It's what got me into Mona Awad's writing, and it is the reason I was so excited to pick up All's Well. And Bunny is all about this group of women who are part of this community of writers at this college. They're in a master's program, and they are, well, the main group that this book is about are called the Bunnies, and they are just disgustingly sweet. They're super close group, and they have these meetings once a month that are very mysterious, and the main character, Samantha, really wants to figure out what's going on there, and when she's invited to attend the meeting and become a bunny, her world changes, and it was just fascinating. It's a lot shorter than I expected it to be, and the cover I read was actually for Summerween, and it was orange and black, but I ended up buying this paperback version that I absolutely love because it just really hides what the book is about, and I think that that's perfect for what this book is about. Look at this cover, though. I love the design of the like chalk marks on here. I already forgot to tell you who designed these covers. Oh my gosh, I'm failing. The All's Well jacket illustration and design was by Jonathan Bush, and it was based on the concept by Tyler Comrie. So that's All's Well. And then Bunny is designed by Jason Ramirez, and the cover art on the front is from Kolesnikov Vladimir and Shutterstock. And the hand lettering is Grace Hahn. So that's pretty awesome that it has actual hand lettering on the cover. Next, I bought A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, and this is the sequel to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. It is the second book in the Wayfarers series. They are books that are all connected in the same universe, but separate stories. This story follows Lovelace and Pepper. Their names change a little bit throughout the book. They go by different things, so it's hard to remember their names. But it follows Lovelace and Pepper. This story is all about home, motherhood, family, found family, what makes a person's love and life matter and real. And it was just a stunning addition to this universe of books. And I absolutely loved it. The cover photograph, which I love this version of the books. There are multiple versions out there. There's a newer version that is definitely more sci-fi. I love these because this is my favorite element to covers, is when you have the sky with something down here. I absolutely love it. But this cover photograph is by Josh Wallace, and Getty Images is where the little tiny figures came from. So really awesome job, Josh. I love it. Okay, next I have a collection of romance books. I've already talked about, I think, all of these books. Maybe not all of them, but I've already talked about most of them in my wrap-up, so I'm not going to give you too much information about them. Obviously, I love them all because I bought them. And the first one is a fantasy romance called Song of the Forever Rains by E.J. Mello. This book is stunning. It is all about Larkira. She goes by Lark, and she is the youngest of the Musai, which is a trio of sisters who all have magical powers, and Larkira is sent on her mission, and her mission brings her to this duke who they believe is smuggling this poison out of this magical city, which is absolutely illegal and forbidden, and so she is charged with courting the duke in order to find out his secrets, find out what's really going on, and in the process, she meets and falls in love with the duke's stepson. Such a good story. Absolutely loved it. It was dark. It had a fantastic magical system that I really loved. And look at this cover. This cover, I know who designed it. This edition was designed by Michaela Alcano, which is my favorite cover designer for books. Absolutely love it. It's absolutely her unique style. It has the gold aspects, this kind of like round design around the center person is a really popular design choice for her. Absolutely love this book, and the cover is just as beautiful to match. I can't wait for the second one. The cover is also stunning, and I'm so excited to have all three. It's been a pleasure, Noni Blake. Fantastic book. I really wanted it on my shelves because I think it's going to be one that I like to read during the summer, like to kick my summer off, because it is self-help in a book. It is a great reminder to love yourself as you are and to pursue happiness and pleasure in your life. This book is all about Noni Blake, who is really just finding that she's unhappy with where her life is, and she wants to focus more on herself and on her own pleasure and on doing what makes her happy and brings her joy. And so she goes on this pleasure journey, this pleasure cruise, if you will, where she is traveling the world and meeting new people, trying new experiences, falling in love, falling out of love, really just living her life. But ultimately, it is a romance novel, and I not only fell in love with the romance in here, I fell in love with Noni, and I fell in love with her journey of falling in love with herself. So great. The cover art and lettering in this is done by Penelope Dulligan, and the art direction was Gigi Lau. Actor Age Eve Brown is the next book that I got by Talia Hibbert. It is the third book in the Get a Life, Chloe Brown, the Brown Sisters trilogy, and Eve Brown is kind of a flaky, she doesn't really commit to anything, and she gets this ultimatum from her parents that if she doesn't find a job and stick with it for a year, she will lose her trust fund. So she goes out to try to find a job. She walks into this interview at this bed and breakfast, and she walks out of the interview, gets in her car, and hits the owner of the bed and breakfast with her car. While he's recovering, She takes over like running the bed and breakfast and cooking the breakfast there. And her and Jacob, the owner, have this romance. It's a sunny and grumpy connection that is really, really stunning. This is my favorite cover of the Brown Sisters trilogy because it is my favorite color combination of blue and purple. And I also love Eve on the front has purple hair. I love her. I love the designs of all of the characters on these covers. They're so cool. The cover design and illustration is by Ashley Caswell. Next up is Hang the Moon by Alexandria Bellafleur. I love these covers as well. They are like such a stereotypical romance novel cover, and I absolutely love it. This is the story of Brendan and Annie. They were friends in childhood and are reconnecting. Annie comes to town. She travels for work, and she comes to town for 2 weeks to visit her best friend. It's a surprise, and her best friend Darcy is out of town. So Brendan takes over and shows her around Seattle, introduces her to the city, and is trying to convince her to stay because he has always had feelings for her. So it's kind of a rekindling romance, a second chance romance. So cute, so wonderful. I love this sunset color on this book, the spine especially. It goes with Written in the Stars, the first book in the series, so well. And the cover design for this is also Ashley Caswell. Okay, wow. And the color illustration is Elizaveta Rusalskaya. Fantastic job. And the last romance novel in my stack of books is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. Another favorite cover of mine because look at this. If this doesn't scream spring and summer to you and just like a fantastic Victorian romance, I don't know what does. It is a little fantastical. It has the floating houses. This book is all about Cecilia Bassingthwaighte, who is not only a prim and proper lady, but a lady pirate, and she has to work with her aunt and her group of lady friends to take down this male pirate who is basically trying to get to her. And along the way, she falls in love. She meets some very interesting characters. There are flying houses. She is fierce and sassy. Just a fantastic romance novel and a little bit of a twist to a historical romance that I really, really loved. Shouts out to Dawn Cooper and Katie Anderson for designing this cover because it's stunning. Last but not least in my pile of books that I've already read and really enjoyed is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. And this was gifted to me by my very sweet friend Cole Schreier. He loves Riley Sager's books. I kind of spurred him along into picking up Riley's books, and he really loves all of them. So thankfully, he sent this to me so that we could read it together, and we did, and it was so exciting. So I'm very happy I own it. I'm very happy that I read it. And I really, really enjoyed this book. This book is all about Charlie, who is a girl who attends college. She's wanting to come home from college for Thanksgiving break, and she joins this ride share. It's in the 90s, so she is riding home with someone to Ohio, and she gets in this car. She ride shares with this man who she believes is a student at her college, and along the way home, she starts to believe that maybe he might be the campus killer who has been killing young women on campus at her college. Craziness ensues. It all takes place in one night in this car. It was wild. This is my, I'd say, second favorite Riley Sager cover. I love the like neon, kind of like a burning, almost like if you take a sparkler and draw it in the sky kind of cover. There's nothing under this dust jacket. Again, it's just like a normal book, but absolutely stunning. I love the like little blurb in here. It's also written in that kind of burning neon cover, neon color, and it's so cool. And this jacket design is by Caitlin Call, and the jacket photo is by Dorrit Gwenter. Next, let's talk about my Book of the Month books that I have. The first one is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey, and I read Migrations by this author and really enjoyed it. And so when this was a Book of the Month choice, I thought that it would be perfect for fall, especially with this kind of tree, foresty vibe. I just really think that it's going to be right up my alley. And the blurb for this sounded so interesting. So it is about a woman who comes to Scotland with her twin sister to lead a team of biologists who are reintroducing gray wolves into the remote highlands. And they are kind of hiding from a secret that happened in Alaska. And this story is kind of a murder mystery. Somebody ends up dead, and I think it's kind of, did the wolves do it? Did this man do it that one of the sisters is falling in love with? That kind of story. I think it's going to be so moving, and it's fairly short. So I'm very interested to see what happens, because Migrations was also very short, but very hard-hitting. So I can't wait to read this. Then I picked up The Damage by Caitlin Warrer, which is longer than I expected, but I'm so excited for this. This is a kind of domestic thriller, I believe, all about Tony, who's always looked out for his younger brother, Nick, and Tony is called to the hospital where Nick is being treated for sexual assault, and Tony's wife is a small-town New England lawyer who is kind of helping solve this case, and it is very much a thriller, all about what will the brother do to get revenge, how far will he go to solve this mystery of what happened to his younger brother. And part of the reason I picked this up is because I've been hearing great things about it, and also this orange leaf vibe is perfect for the fall, and I really just wanted some good thrillers to pick up in the fall, so I cannot wait to pick this up. I forgot to tell you who designed Once There Were Wolves, but let me tell you, Keith Hayes. And the jacket photograph is from Frank Beckett. And then The Damage is designed by Lucy Kim, and the jacket image is Elle Moss. Other books I picked up The Shadows by Alex North. I got the Book of the Month edition from my Half Price Books, and I picked this up because I've really been interested in it, and I want to read it this fall. This is a story that kind of follows The Whisper Man, which I read and loved last year, and it's kind of all about this town where a serial killer grew up in, and everybody knows about the serial killer. And the serial killer committed these murders 25 years in the past. And so this follows, in the present time, this man who had moved away from town and now has to move back to take care of his ailing mother. And his mother starts to believe that someone is in the house with them, that they are in danger. And he is extra freaked out because Charlie, the serial killer, was never seen again after committing these crimes. So he's starting to wonder, does this have something to do with the serial killer? And like I said, it has a connection to The Whisper Man. I love serial killer stories. I can't wait to pick this up. I loved Alex North's writing. It really felt reminiscent of a Criminal Minds episode, and I love Criminal Minds. This jacket design is by Will Staley. I also picked up A Worthy Opponent by Katie Robert, which is the next book in the Wicked Villains series. This book follows Tinkerbell and Hook, and this is all about Tinkerbell getting revenge on Peter Pan and Hook helping her do that, but in order to do that, he has an ultimatum that Tinkerbell has to marry him. So we'll see what happens in this. It is my favorite cover of this book series because purple is my favorite color, and it has these sparkles in here. And I also love Katie Roberts' books because they all have that buttery feel to them, very soft and smooth. These covers are designed by Hang Lee. Also at Half Price Books, I picked up The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, which is the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I really want to prioritize reading this series by the end of the year, or starting it by the end of the year. And I thought if I buy the book, I'll be more conscious about reading it. I just know that if I can see it on my shelf every day, I will want to pick it up more. So I picked it up. This book follows this family that it's happening at the end of the world, and I believe the mother comes home to find her son murdered and her daughter and husband missing, and she basically has to cross this broken earth to find them because there's some earthquakes going on. It's kind of the end of all days, the end of the earth, and she's trying to find her family and figure out what happened to her son. I have heard only fantastic things about this, so I can't wait to pick it up. And this book, the cover design is by Lauren Penapinto, and the cover photo is Shutterstock. Pretty cool. Okay, and then the next set of books that I have, I bought all 3 of these books for $1 each because we have a bookstore in Dayton that is called the Dollar Book Swap, and it is literally every book in there is $1. And so I went with a friend and we just kind of browsed around and picked out any books we saw that were interesting to us and bought them for $1. So I ended up picking up 3, and I'm going to show them to you. The first one is Dominicana by Angie Cruz, and this is a Book of the Month copy, and I got it for $1. I'm so excited about it. I've heard really good things about this book, but I really don't know much about what it's about, so I will read it to you. It says, 15-year-old Ana Cancion never dreamed of moving to America the way the girls she grew up with in the Dominican countryside did. But when Juan Ruiz proposes and promises to take her to New York City, she must say yes. It doesn't matter that he is twice her age or that there is no love between them. Their marriage is an opportunity for her entire close-knit family to eventually immigrate. So on New Year's Day, 1965, Ana leaves behind everything she knows and becomes Ana Ruiz, a wife confined to a cold 6th-floor walk-up in Washington Heights. Lonely and miserable, Ana hatches a reckless plan to escape, but at the bus terminal she is stopped by Caesar, Juan's free-spirited younger brother, who convinces her to stay. As the Dominican Republic slides into political turmoil, Juan returns to protect his family's assets, leaving Caesar to take care of Ana. Suddenly, Ana is free to take English lessons at a local church, lie on the beach at Coney Island, dance with Caesar at the Audubon Ballroom, and imagine the possibility of a different kind of life in America. When Juan returns, Ana must decide once again between her heart and her duty to her family. I can't wait to read this. I've heard only wonderful things about Angie Cruz's writing, and the story just sounds like a really great picture of immigration in America and what it's like immigrating and being separated from your family, especially when it's with somebody that you don't really trust or love a whole lot. And the jacket design for this is by Adelise Martinez. Absolutely stunning. I love this kind of like color blocking and like barefaced drawings, almost like a doodly kind of thing. Love it. This book I also got for $1, and part of it is a cover by, and it is All the Wind in the World by Samantha Mabry. It is a young adult romance, kind of literary fiction. It says, keep your eyes open, your head down, and your love secret. So this story is all about this couple that I believe lives in the desert. It's set in the near future. The land is a little bit magical, so there's like a little bit of magical realism going on. They both are on the run from an accident, and they are kind of going through this like wasteland and figuring out if love is going to be enough to sustain them, I believe. I just really loved this cover, and I thought, you know what, for $1, I'll check it out. Like, look at that all orange. Just really stunning, and this was a book that was sent to somebody, which I think is really, really interesting. And the jacket is designed, and the actual art is by Leo Nichols. Really, really beautiful job, Leo. I love it. The last one I'm most excited about. Like, I saw this and I literally stopped everything. Like, it was like a full stop. Everyone stop what you're doing. You have to see what I just found. At this $1, let me remind you, I spent $1. And it is The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. Woo! Jessica Rubinkowski. And you might be thinking, like, yeah, that's a really beautiful, shiny copy. This is the Fairy Loot edition. So not only is it a beautiful front, it also has sparkly blue sprayed edges. It is signed. It has really stunning, like, snowflake purpley end papers. Plus, the whole cover is just really shiny. Like, okay, we love a good shiny cover. The naked hardback has a design on it. Really beautiful. And the inside of the dust jacket has artwork. Listen, I don't even care if I hate this book, if I read this book and I hate it. I spent $1 on the Fairy Loot edition of a book. Like, somebody really did me a solid by getting rid of this book and donating it for me to buy for $1. Like, that is really just, they really did that for me. And I appreciate them for it. And that is going to be all for me today, friends. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video with anyone who you think would enjoy it, and I will see you all next time. Bye, friends!